One of Michelle Obama's favorite themes, and it's the theme of lots of black elected officials around the country, is the ghettos, the black neighborhoods are a food desert, so they have to be exploited by all these Asian shopkeepers who charge them too much to buy a gallon of milk or a pack of menthol cigarettes. Well, turns out the same thing is happening with their health care facilities.
I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Courtney Bryant. We begin with the violence that is now driving out those trying to help.
The North St. Louis Health Center has been open for 48 years, but Myrtle Hilliard Davis Comprehensive Health says it's becoming crippled by staff quitting because of crime that keeps happening around them. News 4's Marielle Mose is here with the story that's only on 4.
Steve and Courtney, each of these health centers has armed guards outside. Last week at the Florence Hill location, 2 men held one of the guards at gunpoint while they stole his weapon. One doctor, so traumatized by that, quit.
We witness a lot.
These health centers, these examination rooms, serving the thousands who are uninsured and underserved in North St. Louis.
We average about 22 patients per day, but it's worth it. At times, I won't say we overwork, but there's always work to do.
A supply-demand imbalance, not enough doctors and nurses to meet patient demand.
It's hard for us to recruit providers who have not entered into the community because of the rise of violence in North St. Louis.
Violence that gets as close as an armed robbery to one of the security guards in Florence Hill, to a drive-by shooting right outside the Myrtle Hilliard Davis Comprehensive Health Center's main office.
She jumped out the car and we had to save her life on our front lawn.
CEO Angela Claybon says every time something like this happens, they lose more staff.
Some of our providers were so traumatized they did not return back to work.
There are 5 full-time doctors short right now. But the company highlights to recruit more doctors that all clinics have panic buttons to alert guards when something becomes unsafe. But for Dr. Leslie McCrary-Etuk, she says the reward of serving these patients and developing relationships with them overcomes her fear of violence.
When they have insurance and they can go elsewhere and they decide to stay, it makes you want to stay.
And I asked Myrtle Hilliard Davis Health if they will be changing any security following this most recent holdup. They said no, but they hope people like the last doctor you heard from apply for their openings, helping to serve a community in need.
Tonight, South City neighborhoods are talking about the daylight crime that took a 57-year-old woman to the ground and left her injured.
The suspects are kids. Good evening, everyone. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Steve Savard. This happened near Cherokee Street last night just before 6.
News 4's Eric Cox is live talking to people now concerned just to walk in their own community.
Courtney, that's exactly right. Police say those young suspects stole that purse from that woman just feet from Cherokee Street here, where on almost any given day you'll see several people walking up and down this strip from store to store, many times just enjoying a meal.
Absolutely not. I am not surprised because stuff like that happens all the time.
Cheyenne Metz says walking along Cherokee Street is a regular thing for her. She isn't surprised to hear about attackers as young as 10 years old robbing a woman.
I was watching things on the news and, I'd be shocked, about, I can't believe that's really going on down there. But now that I'm down here and I actually see it, I'm not surprised at all.
Police say the robbery happened around 6 o'clock Sunday evening near the intersection of California Avenue and Cherokee Street. A 57-year-old woman was getting out of her car when she was approached by 5 boys between the ages of 10 and 15. Demanding she hand over her purse. After failing to fight them off, the woman fell, and the young attackers kicked her until they broke her hold on the bag.
I'm taking more precautions, trying not to walk by myself, trying to make, sure there's some, close friend or my fiance or somebody walking with me to, make sure that I'm not alone.
Do you generally feel safe during the day, though?
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course. The police pass a lot of time, every time, so you feel good, so just all because, hey, man, it's good in the day.
Saddam Escobar says he regularly visits Cherokee Street, but never after nightfall.
Not at night, you know, because at night you're not can walk in here because it's real bad.
And police say that purse was later recovered about a block away from where the crime occurred, although the victim's money and keys were no longer inside. That's why they're still investigating the situation.
I mean, really, when you guys were watching the St. Louis riots, I know that when you say that, it's like, which one did you mean, Colin? Did you mean the one earlier this year, or you talk about all the ones last year? Well, pick your favorite riot in St. Louis and Ferguson. When you were watching them, did you think it was going to be as simple as just putting a splash of paint on these new some stores in Ferguson and getting a Starbucks in there and everything would be okay then? No. That sent such an unbelievable message to the entire world that you don't want to be anywhere near St. Louis. Now we've got all these black professionals who even they reach this breaking point. The black doctors don't want anything to do with black people in that neighborhood. Get it? Yeah, the people that did all those shootings, they weren't wearing robes. They were not carrying, as somebody recently said, polo shirts and tiki torches, which is the new uniform of white racism. But that was the fellas destroying that health clinic. It's happening all over St. Louis, happening all over Baltimore. Anytime there's a riot, people just run away. They don't want anything to do with that. Because there's only two things happening with a riot, right? Not only do you have a large group of black people intent on causing violence, mayhem, and destruction for no damn reason whatsoever, worse than that, you have city, local, and state, and used to be federal officials who will look at it and go, yeah, I'm okay with that. We're going to give them space to destroy. We're not going to arrest our way out of this mess. We're not going to put police on the street to protect these buildings, that protect the people, because that would just cause riots. Preparing for a riot causes a riot. Remember that one? How many times did we hear that in St. Louis, in Charlotte, in Milwaukee, over and over and over, until the only thing there was left to say is the truth, which is, dealing with large-scale black mob violence, do any damn thing you want except making the black kids angry.